All right, let's get into it. I'm looking at my bit rate. It was all up in the yellows and oranges, and I want it in the greens. So for some reason, during that transition, it looked like a hiccup. I'm a bit out of breath. I kind of ran. Realized I didn't have my water bottle, and if I didn't have my water bottle, I would dehydrate during the stream because I will be screaming a lot and not for the right reasons. And then I realized I didn't have my notebook up, so I had to go back down. So I just ran a mile in like the last 2 minutes. All right, but hi everyone. I see some hellos flooding in. Whew, how are we today? Good afternoon in most of everywhere. It is some flavor of afternoon. Uh, this was a very uh adjective goes here race. I'm still processing everything. Okay, there was so much hype because ever since 2019, I feel when we first saw this event, uh, we could only think of the next time we would see this event. So there was just so much hype surrounding it. And then when rafting came time to actually raft, it was not at all what a lot of us had hoped. There were more DNFs than we would have liked, especially if you had the Midnight Wisps or Balls of Chaos in your fantasy, like some people do, not naming names, although one of those people is me, having them as a ×1. Although, if you are someone who had Raspberry Racers ×3, then you'd be all right, which I am one of those people who had Raspberry Racers ×3 for fantasy. Lot to talk about. And if you did not watch Rafting, then whoops a daisy. Go watch Rafting. Watch some of these teams fail horribly. And watch the Pinkies succeed somehow. Reverse starting order doesn't phase them. Hazers take notes. Reverse starting order does not phase the Pinkies whatsoever. This event did run from 16th to 1st, which is why a lot of the teams didn't appear when they did. I wish the O Rangers would have gone sooner just so they wouldn't have given me the anxiety that they did. And also just so they could, for a brief moment, have had a higher placement. 8th out of 8 sounds all right until the other 8 goes and then you slide down the standings. Because they did go penultimate, although I don't think Greg said penultimate this time around. He did say it last event. So we have that bingo space checked off already. O Rangers go penultimate, take 10th. Pinkies smoke damn near everybody in this event, and then bump the O Rangers down to 11th. Although the Raspberry Racers did get a medal secured, and then that gold secured, despite DNFing on their first go around. So I do not know what that means with that. That is some data that I don't have the wherewithal at the moment to extrapolate from, because Balls of Chaos and Midnight Wisps, if you're a fan of those, that's some oof. I think 2019 rafting is still one of the goat goat events. A shame that it wasn't as uh goated this time around. Uh, if 2022 rafting was a lot like 2019 rafting, this would be a much different stream. But as it stands, oh boy, what an event. I said this time, and I believe the last 3 streams, that rafting was where it was all gonna switch, and that is not the case. The Pinkies came out looking stronger than ever. And I've been asking this, not in the last couple weeks, because we've seen them been slipping down the standings, but definitely in the first few go-arounds. Who gave the Pinkies the right? And I ask again, who? Because they should not be this good looking at what their team has done. Although, taking their history into account, it should be a matter of time before they accidentally get good and stumble upon success. Maybe they have been shaking their ineptitude off. It's only taken them a few years, but maybe we are actually looking at a brand new Pinkies team. They've earned it. Someone in the comments saying they're definitely getting some success. Pinkies prove me wrong in rafting, definitely. We can go back, we can clip some of these streams and talk about how poorly these have all aged. Yeah, people thought Razzie would stay at the bottom. Never count him out. Especially as someone with Razzie's ×3. You like the Minty Maniacs, but you're talking one season fluke. Oh, like the Minty Maniacs. Yeah. It could be. It could be. But it just takes one time. You just need 1 year. Alright. Talking about Pinkies giving them the right. Alright, let's just go and dive head first. Like a lot of these teams. Do we know the status on the green demo crew? Because they went all capsizing. Call environmental cheating. Who got the leaf? Because there was a team with the leaf, and they did better with the leaf, and then the leaf fell off, and then they started slowing down. So, is there... Because there was a lot of debris in the track. There was a lot of growth. We saw that with the 2019 rafting. But this definitely had shades of the 2019 dirt race because there was just so much stuff in the track. It was aiding and abetting some of these teams. It was a hindrance to a lot of them. I think... Yeah, right there. Look at it. Look at them. There must be lifeguards on duty. We didn't see any medical personnel on the sidelines. I bet you there should be a tent of some sort because they just go into that section and then hit that undercurrent and then just capsize. So maybe that's why the race was mapped out where it was. I would have liked um not as narrow of a spot because we did see a lot of teams get stuck. Not the best uh, locations like 2019, but I think just because of that spot of that spot where it capsized the green squad, I think that's why the officials placed the track where they did. Uh, did anyone think the Chocolatiers were gonna win this? Uh, going first never easy. You are basically the second test group. Uh, yeah, lost the marble on that dip. A lot of teams navigating that dip better than some. And there were some discrepancies. I don't know for sure where they calculate that time out. Is it the back end of is it the back edge of the raft that gets the time counted, or is it the third marble? Because what happens if you don't have I guess if you don't have three marbles and then you get the penalty seconds. But there were some little discrepancies between the shown time and the recorded time. Of course, that happens in plenty of other sports, so I'm not going to sweat that as much, mainly because it didn't screw the O'Rangers. The O'Rangers definitely had no chance in this one, unfortunately. I do really love the different camera angles of this event. Oh yeah, the slow up. Mellow Yellow not having a good year. They do have the championship from last year, so like I said, they have the best years, they have the worst of years. They're mellow. They can have another team have their turn. Balls of Chaos. What else do you expect from a team called Chaos? Okay, they hit that first jump clean though. And then just get turned and get hung up. And then just get drowned on. I didn't even realize that you could have a mulligan. So they do get the mulligan, and I believe it goes even worse than the first run. Yeah. I didn't even make it to the first drop. So that's a DNF. We already got the DNF from the qualifiers with the turtle sliders. Absolute pain, because I do have them as one of the teams on my fantasy. Same with the Midnight Wisps. Was it something in the water just for these 2 years? Chaotically showdown level team, yeah. People thought Balls of Chaos would be consistently good this year. I don't think anyone thought that Balls of Chaos would be good. That is just me. So I'm surprised. Yeah, Midnight Wisps that was just awful. I don't know how you reconcile that if you're a team. You already choked once, and then you just get it in your mind that all you can think of instead of navigating the course is, oh dang, we just embarrassed ourselves, and then you just embarrass yourselves harder. Especially for a team who has had success in the past, 2018 champions, but 2021 duds. And then you finally make it back. You trying to claw out of like the mid pack, and then you do that. Yeah, fastest DNF ever. That was a shame. Giving me a whole 1 point between those two teams for my fantasy. And then, of course, Raspberry Racers, proven of haters. Maybe it was something in the flow during that time of day. Who knows? Because Raspberry Racers, right before they got stuck, they had a whole bunch of speed right there. And then they just hit the angle wrong. Boom, Ever Given in the Suez Canal. GG, no re, except you do get a re. But we saw the previous two teams fail, and I thought right there, I thought they weren't going to have it. But then they just cruise, and then they eventually cruise on to a time that none of the other teams could beat. This was an insane event. Not sure if I liked it. Looking back to the 2019, or maybe that is just the bias. I just hold the 2019 rafting to such a high esteem because there have been so many iconic moments from that. You have the Green Ducks just beating everybody in that one. I'm pretty sure they set the record in it. You have the Jungle Jumpers utterly failing at it. They lost 2 at a jump. So maybe it's just me having nostalgia for it. Minty Maniacs, they're definitely rafting like they never have before. They lost 1 marble off that drop. The other one's hanging on for dear life and just messing up all sorts of center of mass and center of gravity. That flow was so sad. That little flow going right across the finish line. It was just so sad, so discombobulated. I feel like the racers did the least bad rather than the best. That does make sense. I think that is exactly what happened. And throwing it back to the 2019 dirt race, where you had half of the field DNF, and then the Pinkies out of nowhere just streaked down. It was Speeders, Razzies, and Green Ducks. And they were in the top of the standings at the time, and they were the top 3 in the pack because the rest of the pack got caught on stuff. And then the Pinky Toe comes out of nowhere, just all sorts of speed, passes, I forget who was running with the Savage Speeders, passes them with not that far to go. I think that is the case where it was just an insane track that they had to navigate, and the water was so narrow at so many points that it was so easy to get stuck. Don't know what could have changed Um, I don't know what could have been done differently. Maybe trim some of the growth back. Um, but it's one of those events you can't control how the water's gonna flow at any given moment. Because we had 5 straight DNFs, and the Razzies use their mulligan to get the gold, and then not a lot of teams seem to have problems. So maybe it was just the Balls of Chaos being outliers. Um, so I will ask that now. I'll just say, did you like this event even with the slow times in DNFs? I'll just ask that because I wish I had liked this more. I always love rafting, but I just wish I had loved this one more because it wasn't as clean as a track as I would have hoped. That being said, I'm impressed with the glaciers. They have iceberg, and I've seen the movie Titanic. Iceberg and boating don't really mix well. But that was a very solid run by the Gliding Glaciers for the fact that they had never competed in this event. Um, I wonder if this is gonna appear in the showdown. I'm not sure if we know yet what the showdown events are gonna be. Um, but if rafting made an appearance, I mean, diving made an appearance last year. I do not know why diving was in the Marble League at all, but I see rafting in the showdown. I hope it does. River needs some landscaping. I should create a poll to see if the Pinkies are actually doing good. I will after this poll runs. So, Shining Swarm have been pressing me. They won the funnels. They were in 16th up until this point. Won funnels that doubled their score. I thought they were getting back-to-back polls. I think the Shining Swarm had the best run out of any team, and that's saying something because I do not care for the Shining Swarm. But they had a time, and it was just such a clean run. They had the leaf. They had the leaf that it seemed to aid them. It didn't look like it was weighing them down, although with that result, 4.5 seconds off of first place, maybe that leaf did weigh them down. It definitely kept them from running into walls. Hazy, take notes. Use a leaf next time. Keeps you off the walls. I thought the Shining Swarm was gonna go back to back. They crossed the finish line in 6th, in an early 6th, and I was amazed because I think out of all the runs up until this point, the Shining Swarm had the best one. Yeah, shout out to Leaf being the friend. Isn't Leaf on the Jungle Jumpers? Maybe a trade is in place. Everyone had eyes on the Green Ducks going into rafting, not only as hosts, not only looking like they're getting hit with the host curse a bit, but also because they got gold the first time rafting appeared in the Marble League. And they had an okay run. They definitely got hung up on the edges. Wasn't the prettiest, wasn't the cleanest. Finished in 3rd at the time. It did not stay that way. Who is there any marble named Leaf? I think that could happen. And then Bumblebees, so pain. I thought they were gonna DNF. They looked right there on that. It really looked like they were gonna get stuck. Yeah, right there. Right, they did. That was right. Yeah, that's pain. I want to say I want them to do good. I want them to have some success. Uh, and then they just got stuck at that gap and got waterboarded. They just almost capsized. Like, if they kept going, they would have capsized. I do like that POV shot. Leaf is on Noxious Ivy. That's right. Yeah, maybe free agency still. But the Bumblebees did not have a good run on this event. Although they did have some speed, they hit that straightaway rather cleanly. I agree with some of the comments. There does need to be some landscaping. Or maybe just put... You don't need to pull the weeds. There's a bit of plastic to mark the finish line. So maybe there can just be some stuff holding the grass back in some very iffy spots. Because there's just too much stuff, arguably, for teams to navigate. I also do not know where Raldo is. It said easy. So maybe we can look at that again. Find where Raldo is. He's probably in a duck boat. Crazy cat size. Cats do not like water. And right off of that, I knew they weren't gonna go well whatsoever. Yeah, that sploosh, that drop was just painful. And I do wish we were shown more angles, because that is a highlight reel moment or low light reel depending on where you're going. And oh man, everything went wrong for the crazy cat size. You lose 2. Your center of gravity gets all out of sorts because now you're top heavy, back heavy, and now you're just jackknifing almost. You're all over the place. That wasn't gonna go well. And then insult to injury, you capsize. That's pain if you're the cat size. Oh, how is my stream looking? I really hope. Up in my viewfinder, it looked like it was a bit jerky. Seems to have chilled out a bit. Not a splooge, a sploosh. 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 Yeah, and then, of course, that gets highlight reel. That is what is going to be on the replay. And that's what is going to be shown forever now. You put yourself on that poster. Yeah, there have been some errors in timing. And we will definitely talk about that. Because it was interesting between our timing and the recorded timing. What we see on that clock down in the bottom left and what's actually recorded. And it just could be an editing mistake, possibly. They cut to the camera and have the wrong timing. Or maybe just they cut too early. So we don't actually see their full timing. Or their their full run. Maybe it was just to speed something up. Team Galactic has been a team surprisingly good this year. They're also surprisingly good in this event. They're definitely getting hung up on some spots. There is a part of this course where you can tell they're not gonna even sniff the podium because the Razzies had a 36-second time. So if you're not at a certain point by 30 seconds, you're not gonna even go for that time, go for that medal. O-Rangers I had more hope for, obviously, because I am a filthy O-Rangers fan. And right there, I knew. You can't waste any time with a podium spot on the line. Only one racer, one team left to go. At that hang up, they spent like 2 seconds hung up. They just kept bumping into the different vegetation on the sides of the water. I knew it wasn't gonna happen. And it really was pain watching this. Yeah, nowhere near the finish line. Already past 36 seconds. 10th, 4 seconds behind first. And then the Pinkies would smoke everybody, bump the O-Rangers down to 11th. Said it once, and I'm probably going to say it a million times. Who gave the Pinkies the right? Was it the stick? Was it the stick? They pick up that stick, and I don't think it really helped them. I think it hindered them more than anything. They just had a really streamlined path. They pick up the stick. Sure, it's keeping them straight, but they almost get sprung sideways. Not once, but twice. They get sideways there. They hit the jump, and then they go all the way sideways. And we've seen from the other teams, if you're going sideways, you're either getting stuck or you're not going to pass the finish line in a solid time. They just had a whole bunch of speed. Maybe they caught a good current. Maybe the water was flowing at a time when it was flowing harder than for the other 15 teams. It could just be a lucky break because 0.3 seconds off of the first place time gets you second. You were backsliding in the past 2 events, and then Bob's your uncle another medal to the count. Yet no one is giving the Pinkies the right. We will talk about this timing and scoring. It is very interesting that 4 teams got a mulligan. The back 2 teams didn't even finish. 2 of the top 3 teams got on the podium. Bumblebees look like they are back in it, although we will have to discuss the standings now after this, because there were some hiccups in the graphics. I do not know just all is going on with the timing and scoring issues, but I do know there were some mistakes, or what we can deem mistakes from our end because we just don't know the whole story. Another thing about the Pinkies being good. They knocked Team Galactic out of the 5th spot. They took 6th. Pinkies could have stuck to 4th. They could have taken 7th if they wanted to be good. I want that bingo spot. Where are we? Look at this. Look at this right there. I want that to happen. For once, please. Yeah, we still have not gotten all of these. Wow, the only thing. Can we call this a track defect? Is it? Is this a track defect? Because no. Oh. If it's a track defect causing a DNF, saw it with the funnels and the jungle jumpers, right? Very popular. They got the 2 consolation points, but this time you got a mulligan. And if you fail on the mulligan, hey, that's it. You only get the 1 chance. A lot of people saying this isn't a... This isn't a track defect. Because one could make the being me, because it's my bingo card, that it is, although it's not really, it really isn't a defect. It's just, it's not a defect. They knew that teams would struggle because of the water getting shallow at some points in the track. So they gave teams a mulligan if needed. If you get stuck at the first go around, you get a second chance. If you mess up that second chance, GG, no re, you're in the basement. A track defect is a team failing in a way that the course designers did not even know was possible. Leap falling off of the funnels in 2020 was a fault that the track designers did not see coming. Hence the 2 points. You don't get the 2 points because you get the do-over. So I guess that's a trade-off. I'll agree with the chat that it was not a bug, it's a feature. There we go. Team fault. Not a defect, it's a hard course, not a restart, it's a second attempt. I agree with that. If a frog jumped on them, then maybe, I wouldn't really call that a defect either. But I would imagine that would be a cause for a restart. Maybe if a stick fell into the water and blocked them. Maybe if they were actually obstructed by a stick in the water. Possibly. Although we did see with the dirt race, ain't no consolation points getting handed out. So, definitely not that. The only the only bingos I could possibly see happening is this section right here or this section right here. I don't think free agency will happen. I wish it would. Yeah. Greg did not talk about the duck, although we will go to that section. He was trying to make a metaphor or a pun of some sort, looked at the duck, and then lost his train of thought.
So many near disasters. The Pinkies hang on, but it's the Raspberry Racers who capture gold in rafting. Bumblebees with the bronze. Those top three separated by just 0.2 of a second. That was a tremendous event, with disaster waiting around.
Yeah, it was gonna say water off the duck's back.
Bit. I'm gonna let that water roll off of them like water off of, I don't know. There's some saying with that. Well, either way.
Was that one of the jokes? He did say he was testing out jokes on the duck. Maybe that was one of the jokes that did not, for no pun intended, fly well with the duck. Hence why he stopped halfway through saying it. Maybe he was going to make it, saw the screen flash to the duck, realized that the duck did not like that joke, and then gave up on it. But he didn't mention the duck. He was definitely aware of the duck's presence. I won't call that. He has to mention the duck by name. Probably call him a handsome duck for good measure. Call the duck a good boy. Maybe ask for the duck's opinion on Marble League events, or maybe just the state of the world. He did not mention the duck, but he was very aware of the duck's presence. He was gonna say water off the duck's back as the camera panned to the duck, and he stopped saying it. Not a coincidence. Not a coincidence. That is some tension brewing. I don't know what it will accumulate to, but this is the subplot that I needed for this season, because the main plot is the Pinkies being good. And who gave them the right? All right.
The Pinkies
final
with that
standing.
That result.
Not final standings, but these standings after the event. 75% of people saying they like this event. That is a great turnout. I definitely wish this rafting was more like 2019. Definitely, I think, hyped it up too much for the craziness that we're expecting. That being said, I really do wish there will be more rafting. I really want more rafting in the Marble League in the future, because it is just a very great event, and it is unlike anything we have seen in other events. Although it is a time-based event, it is more or less a race. Plenty of racing events. Um, we will have another race, 5-meter sprint on Friday, and then block pushing on Wednesday. So we finally have a non-speed based event after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 events involving speed. So now that we have one pull out of the way, I just gotta ask, are the Pinkies for real? Because it would only make sense after years of being bad that they finally learn how to be good. I do not know if this will be the case. We have seen from arguably better teams that they lead the standings for a lot of the events and then fall off and don't even make the podium. Cough, cough, Team Momo. Cough, cough, Hazers. So, since it seems almost every single one of my predictions has been failing, that the opposite becomes true, that I have an innate ability to jinx marble teams, I'm going to say it right now. With one event left before the break, with 9 events left in the Marble League 2022 season, the Pinkies are winning the whole shebang-a-bang. The Pinkies are going to win, and it will be glorious. Again, I say that because the inverse will be true. But the way that the Pinkies looked, they were 4 points ahead of second. Now they are 19 points if my math is correct. I think this should be. Almost 20 points. And again, this could change. 5-meter sprint, one of those events. I definitely did say that rafting is where everything's gonna change. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. And I am amazed at how wrong I was. Maybe I'm overestimating, or maybe rather underestimating the Pinkies. Or maybe I'm just overestimating the first half of these events. But again, one event is all it takes. O-Rangers could get the gold. Pinkies could get 16th. And then that swaps immediately. You have Team Galactic in 3rd over the Bumblebees. Bumblebees get another bronze. They are tied points-wise, but medal count becomes the tiebreaker. Yeah, that's what they mean by position count back with their... So, Team Galactic came in 1st in the first 2 events. Bumblebees came in 3rd in 2 events. So that positioning breaks ties because it's... You go to medal count. And then you go to overall placing. Razzies got out of the basement. They have been coming out the basement these last two events. Definitely helping them. In 8th now. 64. So they're 32 points. 32 points separating 1st and 8th. Lot of time. Not a whole lot of time. But still 9 events for things to change. Bumblebees still stuck on the outside looking in, although it does seem that they're all the way back. But we're not seeing a whole lot of movement. I expected a whole lot of movement this event. And instead, Pinkies nabbed their 2nd silver because why not? Why not? Calling it now, Mellow Yellow will come in last this year. Fair assessment. It would only make sense for them to win last year and take dead last this year. Balls of Chaos and Midnight Wisps are definitely reserving those spots. But it should be noted. It needs to be noted, rather. Chocolatiers are in 13th. They jumped up from the basement. They have a silver. Okay. Balls of Chaos dropped 2. No medals. However, Chocolatiers never won a medal this year. That is the Balls of Chaos silver. I do think that because the Balls of Chaos dropped down 2, that they just swapped the teams, forgot about this medal count from when the Balls of Chaos were in 13th, because that is 2 spots above 15th. So it could be that the Balls of Chaos have the right point total, but they messed up on that medal total. So as it stands, the Chocolatiers would be the highest medalist team, and the Balls of Chaos would be the lowest team with a medal. Shining Swarm going back to, they're in 11th. That's the lowest team with a gold. And then you got the Pinkies out in front. 4 medals. 19 points clear of 2nd. And then 20 points clear of 3rd and 4th. And then 23 points clear of Savage Speeders in 5th. So you have 5th to 2nd. It's a racing event. Savage Speeders could easily come in 1st. They came in 1st in the 5-meter relay because funds canceled. Savage Speeders could easily win the 5-meter sprint. Pinkies could easily come in. What would they have to be? 14th, 15th, or 16th. Because that is 23 points. So they would be 2 points ahead. They could come in 15th and 16th easily. This is the Pinkies we're talking about. And then all of a sudden the Savage Speeders would be out in front. I hope that isn't what is going to happen this time on Friday. But we will be here screaming for one reason or another. I definitely thought I would be screaming for good reasons this time around. I am screaming for very bad reasons. Speeders have 3 medals, 1 of each, in the sprint. So it really could happen. I will disagree with the poll wholeheartedly. I don't think the Pinkies are for real, although it is nice to see the Pinkies get some success while it lasts, because this is definitely not going to last. And I do like the Bumblebees coming all the way back. They are unfortunately on the outside looking in. And these next events are going to be interesting because this is the best we have seen the Bumblebees be. So maybe they could get somewhere. Cat's Eyes on the decline. Green Ducks in 7th. That is definitely not the host curse in full effect. Although there is still time for 9 straight 16th place finishes. Glaciers backsliding. And then really this is what you'd expect from top or bottom 7, 10th through 16th. You're in double digits. Team Primary, yeah, no one expects you to be good. Shining Swarm, although they do have the gold from Funnels, that was very unexpected. Minty Maniacs, Chocolatiers, Mellow Yellow, Balls of Chaos, Midnight Wisps. That definitely checks out. I am on board with that math. Speaking of being on board with the math, we do have to crunch the numbers. For my fantasy, I do have Raspberry Racers times 3, so that is carrying me because the rest of the teams were Limp Carcass. Balls of Chaos just getting 1 point with the DNF. Midnight Wisps also with the DNF, but since the Balls of Chaos DNF'd further downfield, they get the 1 point in 15th. Speeders giving me 11, so there is hope yet. O-Rangers giving me 5 points, which is abysmal. That was an awful showing. I get the times 2, so that's 10. And then Raspberry Racers, good day for Raspberry Racers fan. I get the 25 times 3, that's 75. Then I got 85, 96, 97. So I got 97 points because the teams I hoped would do well were doo-doo. Speeders with their 3rd, 5th place finish. How would that pun go? Savage Speed 5ths? 5th Age Speeders? And Team Galactic almost missing out. They really almost did it. Pinkies have to ruin everything while they're in the process of ruining everything. They ruin everything and then they ruin things they didn't even realize they were ruining. Team Galactic coming in 5th is a staple for them. I do need to check some receipts in this Discord because I do believe listen to this. Listen to this. My predictions for rafting. I have top 3. Green Ducks, Mellow Yellow, Raspberry Racers. Hey, got that. Okay, 1 out of 3 ain't bad. 1 out of 3 ain't bad. Bottom 3 for rafting. Team Galactic. Balls of Chaos. Okay. 1 out of 3 ain't bad. 1 out of 3 ain't bad. Definitely got that. DNF carried me. And the Pinkies. 1 out of 3 ain't bad. 1 out of 3 is horrible. Pinkies took top 3. Sorry, headphone users. I am just that nay, pissed off at this point that the Pinkies are as good as they are. Because the Pinkies, historically, should not be this good. And there may be time yet, for the Pinkies to fall off a cliff. At this point, I am actively rooting for them to fall off a cliff. But maybe this is their year. It just could be the case. It could be the New Orleans Saints of the Marble League. You are going nowhere for 25 years. And then all of a sudden, you get good. All of the pieces fall together. Pinky drug scandal. There was a scandal. I do not remember if I talked about it in one of these streams, but there was a scandal for the New Orleans Saints the year they won it. The year they won the Super Bowl. The New Orleans Saints got caught up in something called Paygate. Obviously, Watergate being the huge scandal from the Nixon presidency in the U.S. So now anytime some huge scandal emerges, you get the suffix gate added. So the New Orleans Saints had a scandal called Paygate, where the defensive coordinator was paying the defenders on the New Orleans Saints if they hit opposing players hard enough that it took them out the game. That one of the coaches on the team was supporting headhunting at that point. You're really like going after players with the intent of hurting them because you get more money. The head coach, once that scandal broke, got a year-long suspension, and it's a plot of a Kevin James movie, I guess, where Kevin James plays Sean Payton during that year-long suspension. And the defensive coordinator got banned from coaching any sort of football ever again. Can't do Pee-wee football, can't coach high school, can't coach anywhere. Banned from football. So, Bountygate, Paygate. I heard both. I think it was Bountygate. I think you are right. Bountygate. Not saying that the Pinkies are doing any sort of cheating, any sort of scandalous activities in any way, shape, or form. But it could just be the year for the Pinkies. It really could be. That being said, a lot of Marble League left. If my early math serves me right, at the current rate this season is going, the season finale will be Sunday, December 11th. There is a 5-day break after the 5-meter sprint. Let's check this banner. We do not know what'll happen after that, during that 5-day break. It could exist just as a break for the athletes. It could exist because the showdown will be that Sunday. Or it could just be to mess with us. Regardless, the main league competitors are getting a halfway break, which will be good to see. Really good to see. So I don't know when the showdown is. I hope soon. I know at least one fan who is actively crying over not seeing Team Momo yet. Don't hold your breath. You might see more of the Momos in the showdown. Alright. Let's check these minutes. Talked about who gave him the right. Talked about the DNFs. Talked about that effect in my fantasy teams. Talked about the discrepancies between the timing and the standings. This is a marble league, but the graphics people are still human. We do make mistakes. I can, forgive minor discrepancies between the timing that we see and the timing that gets recorded for the standings. And then we talked about the Chocolatiers stealing the Balls of Chaos Silver, although I don't think the point totals from the final standings got messed up in any way. So it has been an hour. A lot of people saying the Pinkies are for real still. 75% of people saying the Pinkies are for real. Imagine Speeder's making a comeback to top spot again. It could happen. I'm not counting anything out. Although I do wish there were graphics. And I think Glitter Nova does those graphics that show placement per standing as a line chart, kind of like the lap by lap standings during Marbula 1. I do wish there were graphics like that, because I do really want to see what everything's looking like in terms of some of these teams jumping up and down in a linear way. But holy cow, this event. Absolutely insane. I'm going to turn to the chat now because I'm done with my minutes. Although it has been an hour 10. This is a really long race. I was kind of amazed with how long some of these times were. Touching upon that other note of it, it don't look like the Pinky or the Razzies were the best. It was just that they were the least worst. Event 7, if you're clear by 20 points, it's not a matter of opinion whether you're for real. Oh, he said something else. What else does the mighty Timrit say? Pinkies have put in the work, yeah. We knew rafting would be the great equalizer event, but it definitely did not seem to be the great equalizer. That the teams were in the top of the standings, with the exceptions of a few, O-Rangers being there. That's basically it. Well, Razzies have been nowhere. Razzies are on the up and up. Definitely a rotten start. I remember the poll from the first couple of events. that people were saying that the Razzies are dead. The Razzies are full of life. Like Aaron Rodgers said, they came back on the Cowboys. Aaron Rodgers, only thing he says post game interview on Fox to the cameras, we're not dead. I think this was the we're not dead moment for the Raspberry Racers. It has to be. You're 16th place, 15th place, and then boom, here's the bronze for you. And then boom, here's the gold. Back-to-back events, back-to-back medals. You get the gold. You're up to the top half of the standings for the first time this year. I think the Razzies are back. At the very least, they're not dead. Lost my train of thought. I was reading this chat. The Pinkies were not dead. Slow Rangers, yeah, there we go. Oh, Rangers Speeders rivalry looks like it's coming back with full force. Definitely, we're gonna see this in 5-meter sprint. I don't know how those standings will be, or not standings, but the heats will be decided. It could just be from a hat, just do random generator. But I would hope to see the O Rangers and the Savage Speeders in the same heat. Roast the Turtle Sliders? I might. We'll get there. Definitely the jumpers, though. They have jumped the line for stuff I've been meaning to make. Although I definitely haven't started on anything. I'm going to end that Pinkies poll. How will the Indigo 1-star reviews do in the showdown? I think they'll get relegated. I think we'll finally get that square on my bingo. That's really all I'm hoping for is the bingo card. We really could see a photo finish deciding the championship because even with 20 points clear after 7 events, Pinkies have been pooping on the rest of the teams in the standings thus far. Anything could happen. There's still a lot of events left. It is a very close standing. Is a very close standings, even with a 20-point lead. All right. The only other thing I could see happening. So I did say we're looking for this row happening, or we're looking for this row happening. I still think this row could happen. I think Greg Woods could test out one of these events. I think one of the expansion teams could win the showdown. I think an athlete could visit the medical tent. We do have collision. No fidget spinners, but we could see an injury happen. And then who knows? Maybe the Green Ducks could just completely fall, completely plummet from 7th. Limers fan, how do I start a riot? We'll have to wait for the showdown when the Limers get relegated again, because they have a propensity to get relegated, and then the fans in turn have a propensity to riot. So That's something that could happen. If the host curse does happen, we could also see this row. So we got this row could happen. We got this row could happen. And we got this column could happen. Could have this column happen. I don't think Greg Woods will mention the third place curse at all. And I definitely do not think that free agency will happen. Unfortunately. If a ball bearing comes in full force and crushes a marble into a wall, an injury can happen. Do not give anyone any ideas. Although that would bode well for that square. All I'm saying. Don't want an injury to happen. Just saying if it does, I have it on my bingo. Alright. It has been an hour. It is 1:21. We did get through everything I wanted to. 5-meter sprint. I did say that the standings would flip at this event. The standings did not flip. I don't think the standings would flip because even if you see Savage Speeders take podium again, probably, I think the top spot will stay. It will look like that. I could see Team Galactic falling off. I could see Bumblebees taking back that third spot. You could see the middle column happening. Okay. Was told that there weren't going to be any water events in the showdown. I forget who said that in the chat. But there is going to be, so you still got the water race. Water race has to be in the showdown. So there would be time. I could also see this happening. Don't know where the DQ would come from. Maybe if Blue Eye runs a triathlon again, they could push someone off the course again. So maybe that could be that square. But we definitely could see this bingo happening. I'm definitely glad Greg Woods said penultimate. All right. I hope everyone has a good rest of their day. Take care. Make sure you drink plenty of water. I definitely need to replenish. I've been screaming a lot about the Pinkies. Make sure you check in here at noon on Friday to talk more about the Pinkies. And I will be screaming for bad reasons because I just feel like that's gonna happen. All right. Take care. See you. Adios. I don't know any other languages at the moment. Sayonara. What is it in French? I'm tired. I'm gonna get another cup of coffee in me. So much energy has been going into screaming about the Pinkies being good. I think the standings will be the same after 5-meter sprint, although the only way I could see them not happening is if the Savage Speeders win that event, which they might. In that case, I'm gonna scream a lot more. Alright. I'm gonna have Waluigi take us out. Not like on a date. Or not like assassin, but like, you know what I mean. Okay. Goodbye.